Welcome to our channel. Stay tuned to our channel for sports and entertainment news all the time. Please subscribe the channel. History of air disasters in Hudson River after deadly helicopter crash. The Hudson River has seen more than its fair share of tragedy this week after a tourist helicopter crashed into the water. Siemens executive Augustin Escobar, along with his wife and their 3 children, died during a sightseeing flight above New York when their helicopter broke apart in midair on Thursday afternoon. Siemens Johnson, the pilot who had flown the same model of helicopter just weeks before, also died after the aircraft plummeted into the river. The cause of the crash is still yet to be determined, but sadly, this is not the first time an aircraft has gone down in the Hudson River. At least 38 people have died in helicopter accidents in New York since 1977. New York City Mayor Eric Adams said this week's tragedy was almost reminiscent of the 2009 Hudson River plane crash, but added, "Thank God we didn't lose any lives back then." Metro takes a look back at some of the worst and most famous incidents to take place on the Hudson River. Augustin Escobar, his wife Merce Camprubi Montal, and their 3 children aged 4, 5, and 11, all died alongside helicopter pilot Siemens Johnson on April 10. The family was visiting from Spain, having arrived in New York the day before, and they were taking part in a sightseeing helicopter trip when the aircraft crashed into the Hudson. The helicopter took off at about 3 p.m. local time and crashed 17 minutes later, close to Lower Manhattan's West Village. 4 of the victims were pronounced dead at the scene, while the other 2 were taken to hospital where they succumbed to their injuries. Witnesses said they saw pieces of the aircraft come off as it fell out of the sky, including a blade. 2019 crash. Charter helicopter. A charter helicopter, the same model, a Bell 206, as the aircraft which crashed on Thursday, crashed into the Hudson River near a heliport shortly after refueling. The pilot was the only person on board, and luckily they escaped mostly unscathed. 2018 tourist helicopter crash. 5 tourists were killed in 2018 after a helicopter flying with an open door, in order to take clearer pictures, crashed into the Hudson. While the pilot was able to free himself and survived, the 5 victims, aged between 26 and 34, got stuck in the wreckage. Since then, the Federal Aviation Administration banned supplemental passenger restraint systems on doors of flights which can't be released easily in an emergency. 2016 crash. World War II plane. Pilot William Gordon was flying a P-47 Thunderbolt above the Hudson River to celebrate the American Air Power Museum's 75th anniversary. The pilot died after the World War II aeroplane crashed into the river. 2013 crash. Sightseeing crash. Back in June 2013, New York Helicopters, which also owned and operated the craft which crashed earlier this week, had another of their craft crash onto the Hudson. Back then, the Bell 206 lost power and was forced to make an emergency landing on the water. Thankfully, the pilot landed safely, and he and the family of 4 Swedish tourists he was carrying were uninjured. 2009 crash. Miracle on the Hudson. As Airways Flight 1549 hit birds shortly after taking off from LaGuardia Airport on January 15, 2009, which caused the engines to lose power. With very few options, Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger crash landed the Airbus A320 on the Hudson River. There were 155 people on board, but while many suffered hypothermia and other minor injuries, only 5 people were seriously injured, and everyone survived. The crash became known as the Miracle on the Hudson, and it was immortalized in the 2016 film Sully, where Tom Hanks played the pilot. 2009 crash. Plane and helicopter collision. Sadly, this crash, about 7 months after the Miracle on the Hudson, did not end so well. All 9 people aboard a tourist helicopter and small private plane died on August 8, 2009, after the two aircraft collided in midair. 2007 crash. Sightseeing helicopter. Another sightseeing helicopter crashed into the Hudson back in 2007, after experiencing a mechanical problem when it took off from the heliport. Thankfully, however, everyone on board this flight made it out safely. 1986 crash. Radio helicopter crash. A radio traffic reporter for NMX died after the helicopter she was flying in lost lift, hitting a fence and crashing into the Hudson.